I just read something about Nisargadatta talking. I mentioned it actually in my little hello, that the most important thing is noticing, you're really noticing yourself when you're noticing the sense of being, you're noticing yourself, but we want to put a capital on that. It's yourself with a capital S, which is what you are anyway. But we get so caught up in these little false selves, these bodies, and what they're doing, that we get distracted. And when we get distracted, that keeps us from paying attention to the most important thing. And we are spending all of our time on the least important thing. And it won't feel like it, that it's true, but the least important thing really is relativity. And it matters, it counts, because that's our experience is, but it and it doesn't have to be unpleasant. It can be very good. Um, Even prior to awakening, there are good times in relativity. We fall in love, we get married, we uh, we have kids, we win something, some race or something. A lot of good times can be had in relativity, but I think anybody can spend a bit of time examining their time, and I believe you will find that you actually have less time uh, in joy and more time in suffering, unless you have woken up. And so waking up really means that we get to still live relativity, but we get to live it from the full knowing that we're not actually in it. That it feels like our experience because we have projected a sense of our being, meaning our collective being, it, whatever you want to call it. We have projected that here. And so I'm identifying very heavily with one little human on one little planet in the entire universe. And amazingly enough, this is the most important speck in the entire universe. Why? Because it's me. Yeah, it's me. And I'm the one that can be trusted. I'm the one that you can who has the answers. I don't know what's really going on. I mean, and we all say this. There are 8 billion most important people on the planet, and because we're by our assessment, this and its experience is what's really vital, and it's it seems to be vital, and I don't want to dismiss it because it is our experience as humans. We're not human beings. It's just a matter of what human beings are. Human beings are appearances within the universe, and uh, we have a full experience of that. We're not trying to deny that, but neither do we want to claim it as being ultimate truth. It's the truth, in the same way that you and I tell each other about the truth. But um, it's not the truth as we tell each other here about the truth. This is what we do to find out what's true. Is you look at what appears to be with relativity. You look at relativity, the world and everything in it, and look in your head because that's where the world is anyway. So let's look in our heads and see what's there. What are we thinking? What's going on right now? And then look in our hearts, so to speak, and compare the two. And if they don't match, you're wrong. It's very simple. That what happens is we get lost in our alternative idea of relativity. But there, it's our alternative idea of what is. And even with relativity, there's no alternative to what is. There's just this. So, well, I keep thinking there's more. I'm going to get more somehow. More of what? You're going to get you're going to get more clarity. Do you need more clarity? Um, Let me check in with Judy. Judy's a good judge of this. Judy, can you hear me? So you don't need me to wake you up. You can already hear me. Is that right? Yep. Well, Judy's awake, and I don't see eyes closed anywhere else. So I'm going to make the rash assumption uh, that she is awake. And of course, Judy is awake in both senses of the word. But it's the only sense that really matters to us is does Judy know who she really is? And yes, she does. She's known for some time. We have wonderful conversations. She's just like anybody else. She can get distracted. And, especially in some time like this, Judy's moving. And so, she's, oh, boy, it's just anybody can get that. But she's moving from a house that she's been pretty much for years, all your life? Or,
Only 29
oh,
years.
only 29 years. Okay. So, well, that's almost all your life. I know that. you might be 31. I don't know, but it's 29 is most of it. So this idea of some other alternative, this is what drives us crazy. Literally drives people crazy. I mean, when people go crazy, what we mean is that they are no longer experiencing our experience of relativity. I'm sorry. I was in the living room, and when Betsy said, "Oh my God, it's 15 minutes till," and I came out of there like a jet, but I had not really woken up yet. I mean, I'd woken up. I was reading, but well, here I'm going talking about waking up, and uh, I've always been awake. I can't be asleep. If I was asleep, there would be no experience. In the absence of consciousness, there's no experience. I'm not saying there's nothing. How would I know? If there's nothing there, how would I know that? What would I be judging it with? Nothing has no alternative. I mean, it has, we think, well, there's nothing and there's everything. But everything means a bunch of stuff. Nothing means that, well, there's nothing. There's not even someone there to say, gee whiz, this is emptiness. There's only emptiness, and then there's a pseudo emptiness that which we experience. And here's Jim. Excuse me. There's the truth, and there's the truth of our experience, which are just different things. They're just not the same. Um, and why do we not spend any more time noticing the sense of being than we do? I mean, it's pretty easy if you don't make a job out of it. It's just incredibly easy. Check, just like I did with Judy. Are you hearing me? You're awake. When you're waiting for the other level of consciousness, see, there's actually only one level of consciousness. There are endless gradations of clarity, grant you. But that idea that I need to wake up is what keeps us from, quote, experiencing truth, keeps us from experiencing ourselves, keeps us from realization. That's what I say again, that if I put a bottle of milk in the fridge on a Thursday and I go in there Friday morning expecting to get it, and I open the door and there's no milk in there, I'm thinking, God almighty, where's my milk? Somebody has stolen my milk. That's the first thing I go to, because I was a thief for so many years that I want to blame everybody for stealing my stuff, when it's usually I just misplaced. Nobody's ever stolen anything. I mean, not in years and years. So, but it'll be, where's my milk? There's no milk in the fridge. And then I turn to go out of the kitchen, and suddenly I think, well, I know I put it in there. And I turn around and I go back to the refrigerator, open up the door. What's the first thing I see? A big old jug of milk. So what happened between there being no milk and there being a big jug of milk. That's realization. Nothing happened. There was just a realization of what is. And what is, in this case, included that milk in the fridge. But when I didn't jump out at me with a cursory glance, I said, well, there's no milk around here. And that's what the same thing I did with awakeness. I gave a cursory glance. I gave a cursory glance for 24 years. And I say a cursory glance because I just didn't pay attention to what was already here. That's our mistake. It's not that we can't feel into what's out there, or so to speak. There's nothing out there because there's nothing in here. I just went over this with myself. A few minutes ago, I was like taking care of a little rash thing, and I thought, well, damn, this is always happening, and it felt like it's always happening to me in here, meaning the guy in the bathroom. And of course, then the next thing that came out of my mouth, well, there's no inside, there's no outside, and there's no real experiencing. So my concern over that little rash just disappeared, because it's not my little rash, it's this thing's little rash. This is Fredness's jacket. We would, in shorthand, we would say Fred's jacket, but when we did that, we would mislead ourselves and everybody that could hear us. There is no Fred, so he cannot have a jacket. There is no Fred, so there could not have been a Fred that woke up. There can't be a Fred who is currently enlightened, or whatever you might think. Maybe you don't think that anyway, so you wouldn't argue it, but at any rate, you understand the point, that there's no one here to be enlightened. And when we think, I can't wait till I get to, to just, it's my all the time experience every day. And I have a word for that, which is abidance, and that's widely used. I don't think it's widely understood, but it's widely used. So, and what is abidance? Abidance is just simply noticing what's already here. Because I'm looking for clarity, but where am I looking? I'm looking out there. I don't think I'm going to find clarity out there, because there's no out there. I have only to find it within myself. And Dennis is exactly right. Being aware of being aware. That's what we're really talking about here. But there's no one who is being aware of being aware. It feels like, oh, I am aware of being aware. But there's no I. There's no Fred. What there is there are patterns that you can see. And Betsy and I were discussing this morning, how can you be in your mid 70s or early 70s for her? She's still a child, but how can you be in your 70s and still be vain? But we discovered, we both confess that we are. So there is vanity here over an imaginary character. The character that's been made up to play the Fred role. There is a unit here, but even the unit is only here by way of our experience. We can see a unit, we can hear a unit, we can enjoy a unit, take pictures of it, go on picnics with it, do anything we want to with it, but it's not calling the shots here. It just isn't. This is doing as it is pulled to do or pushed to do. Both of those things occur, I think, sometimes. The pushed is when I really think I've got it, but I'm not really keen on knowing what I should do next. And so I just try to avoid it, but then I will get pushed into that position. And when I say I'm not talking about Fred. I'm talking about awakeness that is coming through the Fred unit. All of this, no words can tell you the truth. So what Nisargadatta used to say, students complained that they had teachers that were inconsistent. And Nisargadatta told them consistency is just the beast of little minds. If your teacher's consistent, he's not trying hard enough. So I'm trying my very best to get the very best version of the the teaching that cannot really be fulfilled by me. This teaching is it's offered to me. It was, and when I say me, it felt like a Fred, and it felt like it was being offered to me, and I accepted it, if you will. Not that I could have avoided it, but I had avoided it for 24 years, so who knows? But on that day, I couldn't avoid it. How do we know? Because I woke up. I woke up. That's what it felt like at the time. That's what matter of fact, that's exactly what I reported, is that I reported that, wow, I have seen oneness. So I am the one thing outside of oneness. I'm standing at the door of oneness and knocking at the door. And I just don't know if they're going to let me in. But oneness doesn't have an in. It doesn't have an out. There's no inside, there's no outside, there's no middle, there's no edge. So there is this confounding experience that's just full of shiny things, and we are like a bunch of crows. Is that we love shiny things. And as soon as we see a shiny thing, we just fly down and just grab it with our bill, and we're flying off of our treasure, and we put it in our nest so that it looks like, the Trump's office, the Oval Office, the way it's looking right now, which it looks like a carnival. It's just so shiny. So we have to learn to not be crows. We have to learn to not to go after, because we're not just crows, we're fish, and we go after. It's a shiny thing. The lure. That's when I used to fish for bass, and I'd drag a lure, and it would be shiny, and the bass would love it, and they would get themselves caught. And just like that, just like with the bass, once we get that hook, you can't get it out. So the animal kingdom is going to teach us non-duality today. They teach it to us all the time, because they don't have this confusion. I don't have to. Willie doesn't have to think about, where do you get that food? Well, is he going to bring more tomorrow? I'm afraid he's not. There's no tomorrow. It's right now for them. And it's a beautiful thing to be around. If I am feeling a little jumpy or whatever, I can put my hand on, and I'll sit there with a dog in my lap or right beside me in my chair with my hand on it. Or I will be in bed and a dog will hop up there and I've got my hand on it the entire movie, because it just brings everything down a little bit. Why? Because I'm being forced to feel the most important thing, which is what? The life itself. We are so caught up with these mechanisms that we can't experience life as it plays out. Sailor Bob used to tell the story of how antelope and tigers in Africa, and how the antelope would be sitting there just chewing on the grass, and all of a sudden there's a tiger, and it's trying to take one down, and it misses, which they miss more often than they get, but they get enough. So the tiger misses, and everybody runs up the field, but they don't run far. They run maybe 50 yards, and then they stop, and then they start grazing again. No one is saying, "My God, did you see that? I can't believe it. I almost died." and I was right there. I mean, it was a tiger with big teeth, and he's still here. He's right over there. He's going to come eat my ass. It No. Is there a tiger present? Not really. There's a tiger sort of near here, but I live in Africa on the plains. There's always a tiger pretty near here. And that's the thing to see about your life. There's always a tiger. It doesn't matter if you can see it or not. The tiger is always there, but you don't have to pay attention to it. You can either be a scared hunter or a scared walker across the what did I say? You can be a scared antelope, or you can be a calm human being by just noticing, or being a calm antelope by just not taking it all so personally. Wow, I can't believe it. Of all the antelope in the whole darn world, he wants me. I can't believe he showed up here. And I'm not the smallest, I'm not the sickest, but I can tell he doesn't like me. I can see he has a special eye for me. And oh my God, wonder what I can do. What if I could change shirts or something? What can I do to change things to where the tiger is not coming to get me? Well, you could quit making that decision. Let the tiger make the decision. You don't need to make it for the tiger. And if the tiger decides that it's you, trust me, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's just like this. It's just like this. I may not like this situation. I do like this situation, but I might not like this situation. And I might be looking for something I can do about it. Best thing for me to do is to, as I've said before, is be willing to watch which way the wind blows and then move in that direction. That's all we have to do. That's what we're doing.